Hello guys, this is Model Aircraft. So this video is basically for scale applications, or you might need an extra servo for whatever the reason is. So I am a scale kind of pilot. I like flying scale. I'm not a 3D person. I have a 450 fiberglass airwolf that I've set retractable landing gears on it. Okay, this is the Blade 330S. Okay, the Blade 330S came with this SPMFC-CC250HX flybarless controller. It's the 330S logo on there, as you can see it. So you know, this is the original flybarless unit that the helicopter Blade 330S came with. So nevertheless, I wanted to use the empty port on this receiver, which is channel 6, to program for my retractable landing gear. I went to channel assignment. I looked on, from 1 to 6, what channel is assigned to what on my IX12. Yeah, on my IX12. So from looking from 1 to 6, from 1 to 5, all the unit has been plugged. 6 is the empty unit. So channel 6 was set to pitch as I saw on my radio for the receiver. So I try to see if I can program it to kind of assign aux2 to it, or aux1, so I can have retracts, and it just was not doing it. So I called Horizon. Horizon was like, well, if you need to use an extra channel for servo, sorry, but this receiver the helicopter came with will not work with that. You will have to replace the whole receiver, which gave me to the conclusion of using my old Blade 450X AR7210BX receiver. So I did install this receiver in the helicopter from H to N. It wasn't going through the parameters. It went through the parameters from A to G. So, okay, so I went past that since I can't go through the next level parameter after G. And I put the servo back into status blue light mode, which is, like a complete mode. And I checked my rudder servo, this rudder servo right here. And the rudder was only giving like right pitch when I go right, and then it wasn't giving no left pitch. So I noticed that, oh, okay, so now there's something else wrong with the rudder channel on the servo, and I was like, okay. I did do the frequency right for the servo. I went to the website, look at the frequency, the center poles, everything to program, but long story short, there's something wrong with this receiver. I believe that when I had my Blade 450X, in the summertime, a couple of years back, I kind of left it in the garage, and I think the heat must have fried some things in there. I'll try to see if I get a replacement, or Horizon can fix it. If not, I'll just throw this away. Okay, but this receiver is not cheap. That's why I'm trying to get it fixed or get a replacement, because it's $220 when it was available. It was $220, but now it's discontinued. Okay, the latest version of the AR7210BX is the AR7210BX. Is the latest version. Okay, this receiver came with this box when I bought that receiver. It came in this box. So after I took this receiver out of this box, I put the old receiver in this box for my old 450S receiver in this box. So I did go through all the parameters from A to N. I programmed every single parameter according to my helicopter servo menu, helicopter type, which is a 450. You know, I program it according to a 450 application, and it's worked fine. I actually flew it. It flies good. It hovers stable. The only thing is I didn't set the pitch right on the blade. It's like, well, I didn't set like the pitch for the lift. I didn't do too much of it. I think it was, and I'm gonna put it, I have to put it at 12-degree pitch or maybe 13-degree pitch to get a better lift. That's the only downfall. So I'll go through the program and refix that. But apart from that, it flies, everything is good. Just some quick instruction. I didn't make a video of how to program this to your Blade 330S because most of the time, you know, when I'm working on my RC, that's me. I'm always by myself, so it's like one hand hold my phone and one hand, you know, so I would have to have somebody hold the phone for me or get a digital camera where I set it there, and I don't have time for all that. But I'm just gonna kind of roughly explain to you how I program it. I have never programmed before, ever in my life, a helicopter. If I can do this program by myself and fly the helicopter without no issues, and then other people should be able to program this to fly it without any issue. If you have I'm not here accusing anybody. If you have a difficult trying to understand this program and program it and not be able to understand it, or going through this whole book, and then you shouldn't be flying helicopters, you know. I mean, that's just a simple analogy. So basically, the book, okay? This book, you don't really need to start from page 1. You don't really need to start from page 1, okay? All you need to do, go to this page verse 7 and see how the antenna is. So you gotta keep the antenna maybe something like that. If you kind of do horizontal mount, kind of keep one antenna down, one straight out. So kind of look at that. But you actually, after that, just skip the other pages and go to page 11. You have to go to page 11, mounting orientation, okay? So if you're gonna be having this kind of mount right there, where the flight body unit is horizontal and flat, you know, towards the boom, and then it will be a solid red, okay? I'm just gonna go through this pretty fast, okay? Now this is swatch plate servo frequency. So to know this, you have to look at your servo, whatever servos you are using on the swatch plate. You have to go to the website of that servo, or so you can find what frequency that it uses. Okay, it can use 165 hertz, 120, or whatever, and then you use the rudder stick on the radio, left or right, to change the colors to which frequency you want. Okay, and now next would be servo tail center position. So basically, you find like a high-end servo will be about 760 US, you know, and typical most servos are 15-20 center pulse. So you use a rudder stick to select which color according to what your servo demands. Okay, and then you go to this page. Okay, you go to C. All right, so C, you will select the hertz of the servo. So depending on what kind of service you're using, if it's a high-end servo, you select the color that the manufacturer requires the hertz to be. Okay, if it's 560 hertz, you might need a PC to program to get 560 hertz. Okay, now you go to D. D is right here. Okay, this is have a time limit. Okay, so you press the setup button selection to move to menu E. All right. Okay, so E is tail endpoint, tail servo endpoint. So basically, you're gonna make sure your servo mechanically center like this right here. Take it out and mechanically center it in the middle. After you mechanically center it in the middle, you use your rudder. You use the rudder on your remote, desired remote, and you go from one end to another, and the light should indicate solid red. From one end to the other end, it should indicate solid blue, and it will blink twice, showing that it got the maximum endpoint for each travel. So that's what you have to do, and then you move on to the next menu. The next menu is set and tail sensor direction. So basically, when your tail is like this, if you move the helicopter to the right, the tail right, this blade should counter right pitch, okay, to kind of push it left, which is basically telling the gyro of to keep it back in place so it doesn't wobble or anything. Okay, after that is correct or normal, you move to G, switch plate servo centering. So switch plate servo centering is you use your throttle stick. Let's see, switch plate centering, you move your throttle stick left or right to select each servo on the switch plate, and then you use your elevator up and down to keep the servo horn perpendicular to the servo. All right, and after that you go to H, switch plate mixer. This is 2 blades, okay? Whenever you use 2 blade, it's 120, okay? It's 120, which is red solid. Then you go to switch setting, you go to I, switch plate servo direction. It's basically, you're basically gonna be moving the helicopter up, down, left, right. The aileron stick, I believe, yeah. You're gonna be moving the aileron up, down, left, right to know each one is moving the right direction. At this point, you don't need to reverse any servo in your radio. And the next, you go to J. This is teaching the cyclic pitch geometry. So the cyclic pitch is basically this right here. All these whole switch plate have to move down to give it up cyclic, all the way down to give it negative cyclic pitch. And so you're teaching the geometry of it, okay? So after you do that, you will use the
the aileron stick left or right until the pitch gauge has exactly 6 degrees. Okay, so
make sure it's centered. The pitch is centered, and use the aileron stick left or right to get 6 degrees of pitch. At this point, you will need a pitch gauge.
And then you will go to K. K is collective pitch endpoint. Okay, so basically you move the rudder stick. By moving rudder stick, you can reverse the internal collective pitch direction. The current pitch direction is indicated by the color of the status LED. Okay,
so this is collective pitch endpoint, so you'll know.
Now you go to L. L is cyclic limit. Okay, cyclic menu point L. Adjust. Okay, so you adjust the cyclic limit. So the status LED still be blue when the switch plate at the maximum limit. If the size is purple, it's off. Okay.
So if the switch plate is at the maximum limit, the status light should be blue.
So after that, you go to, let's see, M. So M is setting the switch plate sensor direction. Okay. So basically, I believe, okay, tilt the helicopter forward. Tilt the helicopter forward, the switch plate should tilt backwards. Okay, so basically this switch plate should tilt away from which direction you're tilting the helicopter to. So if you tilt this forward, this switch plate should tilt backwards. Okay. And then you go to N. On N,
I'm using the Avian 45 amp smart ESC on the 330S.
It has a governor on it, so you leave that to off. Okay, and at this point,
you hit the status button again. It should go back to status blue, and you should be good to fly. So that is the setup for the Blade 330S when you want to change your stock receiver to an AR7210BX. To my surprise, this receiver is $199 with the satellite, I believe. This receiver by itself is $220. Granted, I don't know what, I mean, you be the judge of that. I don't understand why this is the latest receiver, and this is not really that new, and it's more expensive. And then I had to get the antenna, which I paid almost $40 for. So you're looking at these two combination, it's about $260 right there. So it's a very expensive receiver. Okay, so that is the setup. I mean, like I said, if you can set a fly-by-wire control unit up on a helicopter, you don't know much about helicopters, and please, I'm not trying to catch no heat for this. I'm just being honest, you know. I feel like with this hobby, especially flying helicopters, is very dangerous. You could hurt somebody with this if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're not sure knowing how to program, I would suggest you take it to your local hobby store and have somebody who knows how to do it properly for you. But if you are smart enough and you know how to understand and you're that good, then you could do it. I mean, it's part of it. It's just knowing the manual. You gotta make sure you read this thing. Read it, watch videos. That's what I did. and I'm not here to brag. I'm just being honest. Alright, this model aircraft. Signing out.